During this last Nintendo Direct, many people were expecting Mario Kart news, namely Mario Kart 9. Mario Kart 8 has been around for a while, and a new game would doubtless sell well on the Switch. Of course, we did get news. More DLC. For an 8-year-old game that already came packaged with previous DLC. I think we're all certain at this point that Mario Kart 8 is going to last until the end of the Switch's life, and 9 will be reserved for the next console. But, hold on. Don't we already have a 9th Mario Kart game? Of course, I'm talking about the mobile exclusive Mario Kart Tour. Released in 2019 and developed by DNA, who you might also know as the developers of Pokemon Masters, Tour is a constantly updated version of Mario Kart focused on introducing courses from around the real world, thus a tour of sorts. The first of these tour courses was the New York Minute, followed by courses like Tokyo Blur and Paris Promenade. This was an interesting concept for a lot of people. Tour had a launch week download number of 90.1 million, even outdoing Pokemon Go and Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. The game quickly turned itself into a laughingstock, however, upon the circulation of a certain image. The Diddy Kong pack. On one hand, that's $40. On the other hand, that's Diddy Kong. So I've failed to mention up to this point that Mario Kart Tour is a gacha game. If you're unfamiliar, this is a genre, primarily in mobile games, that includes large character rosters that require spending in-game currency for random virtual items. The currency can be earned with gameplay, but it's much easier just to spend your hard-earned cash. This monetization practice covers many of Japan's highest-grossing games of all time, and it proves to be constantly successful. So mix it in with one of the most successful video game series of all time, and you have a match made in heaven. As you can expect, this put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Diddy Kong isn't even a high-end character. He's Super, the middle of the 3 rarities. But this wasn't the only problem the game had at launch. The character roster was tiny, many noted that Luigi was used in the tutorial, but wasn't even available in-game. The control scheme was questionable, you can either only turn normally or only drift. No option for both. The game was also only playable in portrait, not landscape. And they did that thing where they give bots the names of other players, making you think you're playing online when you're really not. I can only assume they didn't have matchmaking ready for launch. Of course, all of these problems eventually got fixed, but the initial damage was pretty harsh. Nowadays, the game's mellowed out and started regaining some of its reputation, so let's talk about what it has to offer. So I'm going to be completely honest here. All of my experience with the game has been within the last 2 weeks or so. I was one of the people that waited for the reviews to come out, and I was really put off from a lot of what I saw. Having recently picked up the game though, I'm pretty impressed and I've been decently enjoying my time. I'll also mention that I always remain as a free-to-play player within these kinds of games. In the actual races, you have your standard Mario Kart, but this game made quite a few changes. The first is that you're actually unable to go off course unless you use a mushroom, you know, if you want to take a shortcut or something. This put me off a bit at first, and there's an option to turn it off. But honestly, it does make things less frustrating and gives you more time to focus on the biggest change, the scoring system. While getting first is still a focus, the main goal is to get as high of a score as you can. Almost every action that you can think of contributes to this score. Collecting coins, jumping, drift boosting, and hitting enemies with items to name a few. Ideally, you'll be chaining all of these methods together to keep your combo going. The higher your combo, the more points you get with each action. If you take too long to do your next action, the combo will break. This adds a lot of complexity to your decision making than any of the mainline games will give. Do you keep your red shell for defense, or do you use it to continue your combo? Do you drift into the wall of the straightaway to get a drift boost? Questions you'll constantly be asking yourself while trying to balance comboing with getting first, which is still a priority since your placement in the match determines a healthy amount of the points you'll be given. I personally love the scoring system. It does well to differentiate itself from the mainline games, but it's not void of problems. The first of which is, well, this is Mario Kart. There's always going to be an inherent amount of RNG, how many blue shells get tossed, what items you get, the amount of... When you're shooting for a high score, the difference between a perfect score or an average score can be getting hit by one projectile at the wrong time. There's been a few times where I've had to brute force my way to good RNG to hit the target score I needed. The other problem, I mean, let's be honest, we all should have expected it, is with the gacha system. You may have noticed that the amount of items I get from item boxes isn't consistent. This is because each character has favorite courses. Each course has 3 tiers. Whichever tier your character is in determines the amount of items they get from item boxes. Typically, you'll see more higher-end characters at the top, but it's not uncommon for super or common characters to be up there from time to time. These tiers also exist for your kart and glider selection, karts giving you point multipliers and gliders giving you combo bonuses. It's very important to have a good character though, since being able to get 3 items at once enables frenzies. These will occur if you get 3 of the same item, and for the next 10 seconds or so, you'll have invincibility and be able to use that item over and over again, each time increasing your combo. Now while this obviously makes the game a bit of pay to win, I don't mind it as much as I probably should. This system encourages you to use a variety of different characters, and it gives a reason to come back and replay the courses when you have more characters unlocked. And since you play against bots, it's not like you're getting stomped by players who coughed up money. At least not directly. They did add a multiplayer mode, but honestly I don't see the point. Playing multiplayer doesn't unlock any new content, it's just kinda there if you want to do it. And while the scores you get in multiplayer do carry over into the main game, it's usually easier to get a better score in single player since you get to choose what course you want to do, and CPUs just put up less of a fight. Although there have been a few times where I've been matched up with only one other player, so I basically never had to worry about getting hit with items. That can be a good way to get high scores. Really though, I just play multiplayer to get the missions done and then leave. Wait, hold on. We have to take a moment to appreciate the fact that this guy's name is Poppy Smear. Very nice. Now that I've talked about getting that high score up enough, what's the point? What is it for? I'm very excited to talk about this whole system they built around the races because I find it so impressive. Mostly the fact that they've consistently added huge updates to the game every 2 weeks for almost 3 years now. I've played my fair share of gacha and constant update games, and I don't think anything has come close to that consistent of an update schedule. Since launch, there's been 63 tours, with the 64th being announced at the time of making this video. You can think of these tours as sort of seasons, bringing in new content while phasing out content from the previous tour. This content includes at least 2 new characters, a couple of karts and gliders, 12 cups, recently, that have 3 races and 1 mission each, a new store page, new quests, and a battle pass that gives access to a few super or lower characters, karts, and higher end or lower gliders. Yes, I know it's not called a battle pass. No, I will not stop calling it that. On top of that, there's a few things that are updated every week within each tour. This includes an added spotlight pipe and a new ranked cup. That probably sounded like a lot, and it was. One of my favorite parts of this game is all the different forms of progression there are. Let's start with the most important parts and then delve into the details. So I mentioned 12 cups of 3 courses each. Don't get too excited over that number, as almost all of the courses are reused from older tours. Nowadays, each tour usually introduces 1 or 2 new courses. The interesting thing about these courses is that each one has multiple variations, noted by these odd code-like letters after each course. R is a reversed course, and T is a trick course. And then there's usually a number to indicate which version of the course it is. I love these trick courses. These have a set of generic objects placed all over the course to change things up. Most often, this means ramps were placed all over the place, leading to easier combos. However, sometimes they'll make an entire splitting path out of these ramps. This is one of the many parts of this game that I'm surprised have never shown up in the main series. So instead of every cup having completely different courses, they reuse these courses with different variations. The whole tour usually only uses about 12 unique tracks, just all using different combinations of normal, reverse, and tricks. It's a neat way to get more use out of each course. That being said, I absolutely hate the current focus course, Los Angeles Laps 2, and it's featured 7 times throughout the tour. Some cups even have it twice. It's unfortunate. The new course of the tour isn't always brand new either. They do rely on retro courses quite a bit. For instance, the next tour, the Sky Tour, is introducing the GBA Sky Garden as the focus track, which you might notice was also announced for Mario Kart 8 DLC. The 12 unique tracks aren't always set in stone either. It can range up to 15 tracks pretty often, and sometimes they go absolutely nuts, like in the Toad vs. Toadette tour, and have 26 unique tracks. While that's neat and all, you don't have any access to previous tracks from previous tours at all. The very first course introduced to the game, New York Minute 1, has not shown up since launch. They've even had 3 other tours that all feature New York, but they make a completely different track every time and never bring back the old ones. I appreciate that they make a new track each time, but they couldn't at least bring back the old ones for a little bit of variety? I don't know. Each different track has 5 target scores to hit. For each one hit, you earn a Grand Star. Yes, the ones from Mario Galaxy. These are essentially your points in the Battle Pass. Collecting a certain number of them earns you rewards. It should be mentioned that you never have to max out the Battle Pass for the good rewards. Those usually stop about 3/4 of the way through. Everything after that are usually level up tickets. While the races are the main way to earn Grand Stars, they're sprinkled among all the other parts of the game as well. Each cup concludes with a short mission reminiscent of Mission Mode from Mario Kart DS. In my experience, these are all incredibly easy to beat, giving a guaranteed 3 Grand Stars each. There's 3 other currencies you'll accumulate while playing through the races as well. The first, coins, collected on the track similar to the console Mario Kart games. These can be spent in the shop either on the rotating daily stock or in the rarer ranked cup stock. This is a pretty easy way to fill in any weird gaps in your roster. Since over half of the characters in the game are high-end, your normal and super characters end up filling up pretty quickly, mostly from being bought from the shop. Do note that there's a 300 daily coin limit. It usually takes about 2 hours or so to hit that. The second currency in the game are green tokens. Each tour has a different way to earn these. Currently in the Los Angeles tour, hitting an opponent with an item rewards 1 token. Previous ways of collecting these were performing mini turbos or simply collecting them on the course as if it was a regular coin. These have their own section in the shop that doesn't change throughout the entire tour. This section will have a character, a cart, a glider, and then a mix of rubies, coins, and tickets that can each be redeemed multiple times. The most expensive items are the point cap tickets, which increase the maximum points that each item can give. These are rare and worth working towards every tour. The final currency are rubies. You use these for one thing only, using the pipe to get new characters. Yeah, well, you can use it for the coin rush thing to get coins, but, don't. You get a sprinkle of these from pretty much everything in the game, completing tours, finishing missions, the battle pass, login bonuses, the list goes on. It's fairly liberal with how many you get for free. 5 gives you a pull from the pipe, but you can save up 45 for 10 pulls, saving on 5 rubies. Over the last tour I got around 150 rubies total, although I think a few of those were because it was my first time playing. There is one more section in the shop, the Ranked Cup section. As you hit higher ranks in the Ranked Cup, you unlock more options here, but what is the Ranked Cup? Every week, a cup will be chosen to be ranked. During the first week of a tour, it's the first cup, and on the second week of a tour, it's the third. During this week, you'll be placed against a few players to compete for the highest total score for the whole cup. And while it may show that you're ranked against like 10 other people, if you check their profiles and it says there's no records, that means it's a bot. So usually closer to 5 people. I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but this hasn't been that much of a focus for me. Obviously I'm really low ranked because I just started playing, but I stayed in first with the scores that I had on my first playthrough. First place nets you an item along with all the previous rewards, which is a mix of tickets and coins. From what I can find from older players, this used to be a much bigger focus in the game, which is unfortunate because once you get into the higher ranks, whoever has paid the most money will definitely win, having more options for better builds. And then there's those mission bingo cards. Not much to say here other than these are practically a bunch of achievements. Each one will either give you rubies or grand stars, and completing lines will give you some extra bonuses. The part that I love the most about these though, are the little badges you unlock. These display next to your name when in matchmaking and show up on your driver page. Yet another feature that really should be in the main games. Oh, and some of these missions end up getting a little weird. Unless I've forgotten something, that should cover every single system of these tours. There's a lot to keep you busy, but the game heavily encourages you to play in short daily sessions with the coin and experience limits, daily missions, and new content unlocked each day for the first week of the tour. Something to keep in mind if you prefer longer play sessions. I've got to make this its own section because this is like the most bewildering part of the game. What are these designs? They're so good. They gave the fans Aurora Rosalina, Lederhosen Luigi, Kangaroo Yoshi, Swimsuit Daisy. They know exactly what the fans want. I could keep naming off these costumes, but there's just so many that go absolutely wild. Also, if they don't make the entire roster of the Super Mario Kart costumes, I'm gonna riot. These are too good. Some costumes actually make me like some of the baby characters, and that's saying a lot. Now, by now, you all know that I'm obsessed with video game music, and Tour does not fail to deliver. It seems like they use the real-world destinations as excuses to make songs that sound pointedly not Mario Kart-ish. But the retro track songs are all just slightly updated versions of the originals. The SNES Mario Circuit 1 song sounds almost exactly like the original, and that's more impressive than anything. Here's a collection of some of my favorite new songs in the game. Oh wait, no, hold on, that's a Persona 4 song that I accidentally put in. Just kidding, that's Sydney. Lastly, we can talk about the visuals for a second. Basically, it's standard fare for a mobile game, but it does have that simple Mario Kart charm. Of course, they're not on the level of Mario Kart 8, I'd still say that's the nicest looking game on the entire Switch. No, these look more like Mario Kart Wii than anything, although I'd still argue that these look a bit more crisp. Even stages that were ported from a game as recent as Mario Kart 7 have been remodeled and updated. If I do a direct comparison of, say, Shy Guy Bazaar, you can see the differences. Better lighting, smoother models, but more simple textures. Not worse, just different. This is consistent with most of the port jobs. Courses taken from Wii have heavily simplified styles, but in general, I'd say they look better. I do wish they'd blur out the faraway backgrounds though. They can look a bit scummy when compared to the originals. So everything so far I'd say has been in a pretty positive note, but now it's time to finally circle around to the main caveat of the game. The money. I'll be honest, I've softened up to a lot of free-to-play models in games in the last few years, mostly because I'm a stingy son of a bitch. I can play these gacha games for years without putting money towards them, and different games have different points where it finally feels like you're unable to keep up without paying. I showed you The Image before, which, I'm not going to pull any punches here, is a disgusting display of insatiable greed. And this remains true for just about every microtransaction in the game. Paying money gets you a hilariously low amount of rubies. The banners in the shop are always overpriced for just 1 or 2 guaranteed items, and the premium bingo sheets give you items that you could easily get otherwise. The only thing that just maybe has a possibility to be somewhat worth it is the Gold Pass. If you find yourself having a lot of fun with the game over a long period of time, give it a thought. You can even try it out with the 2-week trial, which, you know, is kind of just part of that scam where they hope you forget to cancel it so they can charge you. Cool. The Gold Pass gives you extra rewards on the Battle Pass, an extra multiplayer mode, access to 200cc, an extra bingo sheet or 2, and double the limit on daily coins and experience. All of this is really good if you're obsessed with the game, but if you just want to pick it up for a few minutes every day, you won't really miss out on anything. It's honestly a decent system. So how viable is the game as a free-to-play player? It's not too bad actually. I hear it used to suck though. You get a decent bunch of rubies just for starting. And if you combine that with the free 2-week trial of the Gold Pass, you can get yourself a pretty nice starting roster. And thanks to the game getting updated consistently, you'll always have a drip feed of rubies every week to keep you going. And most importantly, you miss out on absolutely nothing gameplay-wise from being free-to-play. You still get access to all the cups, all the courses, and have pretty decent chances on getting any character you focus on getting. All of this isn't to say that I'm defending the monetization practice. As always, this is a scheme to trap in whales, either people who have so much money that they don't care about throwing it away, or people who have a weakness when it comes to gambling. This is essentially gambling after all. Throwing money at something in hopes of getting the proper outcome or character that you want. And while these types of games can be a fine deal for someone who wants to check the game out without paying money, there are plenty of people at the same time who get caught in the trap. You have to be able to draw that line yourself. Thank you all for watching all the way to the end. I made this video because Mario Kart Tour, up until a few weeks ago, was a complete mystery to me. And I saw a lot of people saying that there's no possible way to improve Mario Kart 8 for a sequel. But as we've seen, Mario Kart Tour itself adds a lot of interesting ideas, as well as brings back some older things like Mission Mode that could absolutely have a place in the franchise today. Also, no, of course I don't consider Mario Kart Tour as Mario Kart 9. I would never give such a greedy game that dignity. If you have experience with Mario Kart Tour, let me know what you like about it. What would you like to see come back in Mario Kart 9? And what do you want to see outside of that for Mario Kart 9? Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.